Hello, hello all. Welcome back to CuJo's Corner. This is the 11th installment of the podcast. Before we get started on today's installment, I would just like to quickly ask everyone, how y'all doing tonight? You doing good? I'm doing good. The weekend was great. We're gonna get more into why that is. We're also gonna talk about how I can't speak. We're not gonna we're not gonna talk about that for real. But we do have a lot to talk about. I've really been looking forward to doing this, getting more into this, and as I mentioned already, had a great weekend. How was your guys this weekend? Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me how it was in the comment section below. I'd like to get to know the people that are watching my podcast. I'm gonna take a drink real quick and then we'll get started. All right, guys. So Michigan this past weekend did something that I thought they were not gonna do, and that's beat Penn State. If you guys recall, and I'm sure you all do, that video got pretty big on my channel. I thought for I thought for sure that Michigan was not going to beat Penn State. I thought they were going to lose. I kind of grew a little more confident in between the time and the week leading up to the game. Uh, I thought, okay, maybe I'd be wrong. And to be honest, after kind of sitting down and thinking about it, yeah, Michigan kept it competitive with Michigan State, so to just assume they weren't going to beat Penn State maybe was a bit of an overreaction. But that said, as of right now, I do stand by, for the most part, what I said in that video. However, with that said, I'm open to being proven wrong, and I would say there's been two games that Harbaugh has proven me wrong on so far, that being Wisconsin and Penn State. I honestly didn't think Michigan was going to win either of those games. Uh, they did. I wasn't sure if they were going to beat Michigan State, but they didn't. So, whatever. But I mentioned this last week. Michigan does have a path to the playoffs, but sorry, I'm getting way off track here, guys. Anyway, let's talk about the Penn State game. This was a very hard-fought game. Michigan won 21-17. To get more into the specifics of the matter, Cade McNamara played the entire game, which was I think he hasn't done that since against Washington, week 2, something like that. And I think maybe McCarthy got a couple snaps in that game. I'm not sure, but Cade McNamara played the entire game. I thought that was noteworthy. I'm also happy to see that. I'll get more into that in just a minute. He went 19 for 29, 217 yards, and he threw 3 touchdowns, completed 65.5% of his passes. So he had a pretty solid game, and he proved yet again that he can control a game. And if he has to, he can take it into his hands. He's honestly proven me wrong. I was always a little back and forth on Cade McNamara. I always felt like I saw something there, but I don't know. I'm not the greatest when it comes to evaluating talent, so I wasn't quite sure. And to be honest, there was a few games where he did look a little rough when he would try to throw the ball more. But honestly, I feel like now that he's had to kind of play more games where he's had to throw the ball more and develop some chemistry with his wide receivers, I feel like he's actually gotten way better. And I almost kind of feel like Harbaugh's kind of held him back a little bit, made a mistake in doing so. Cade McNamara is proving that he can control a game, and he can take it into his hands if he needs to. And I'm willing to admit I was wrong. Like I said, I was a little bit back and forth on him. At one point, I kind of liked him. At one point, I was like, oh, I was one of those fans that was kind of leaning more towards J.J. McCarthy. But I'm willing to own up to it and say, you know what? They should go the rest of the season with Cade McNamara. Hassan Haskins had a hell of a game. He ran for 156 yards on 31 carries. Didn't have any touchdowns, but still, any game where your running back runs for over 100 yards, great game. The offensive line played a hell of a game, clearly. Defense also played very well in this game. Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo really got to the quarterback. Sean Clifford, I think his name is. Yeah, Sean Clifford. I think I'm getting that right. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. It certainly wouldn't be the first time I was wrong about that. Wrong about someone's name. But yeah, Ojabo and Hutchinson really got to the quarterback well. I thought the defense did everything they could. But here's the funny thing about their offense. I know I talked a little bit of good about what Cade McNamara and Hassan Haskins did. That might paint a certain picture, but I do want to talk about a certain portion of the game. Michigan started the second half leading 7-6. They started the second half with the ball. They stormed down the field and scored a touchdown, going up 14-6. And it just looked like they were going to start stomping a mud hole in Penn State's ass. The defense did their part. They stopped Penn State. Then they gave the ball back to Michigan. But then Michigan seemed to have spun its wheels in the mud as far as offense goes. Penn State held them scoreless up until the fourth quarter, if memory serves correct. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in that. Penn State eventually took a 17-14 lead with just under 6 minutes left. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, when that happened, I thought it was done. Michigan just, they blew a lead. Like I said, their offense was kind of spinning their wheels in the mud. They weren't really going anywhere. It was becoming a bit of a problem. But push came to shove. The nose got put to the grinder. Michigan did what I thought they couldn't do. They came back. They stormed down the field. McNamara hit Eric All for what would become a game-winning touchdown. Then once again, Michigan's defense had to come in and, make Penn State turn it over on downs. But irregardless, game's over. Michigan wins. I said at the beginning of this podcast, Harbaugh has proven me wrong a couple of times already. And I don't want to overlook Maryland. It's definitely a trap game, but I think they'll beat Maryland. And to be honest, guys, I think there is a chance that they could beat Ohio State. Now, as crazy as that sounds, let me explain. I was listening to Mike Valenti earlier on 97.1, The Ticket, and he made a comparison that I thought was interesting and actually made perfect sense. 2015 Michigan State, a team that no one thought would last in the playoffs, and they didn't. They were knocked out of the playoffs immediately, but they still made it. They still won the Big Ten. They beat Ohio State. They were tough. They were resilient. They ran the ball a lot. Kind of sounds like Michigan now. Now, Ohio State's good, and they're going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. But I think there is a chance that Michigan could win that game. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying that I think it will, but I think it can. I hope I'm wrong. I still think Ohio State overall is a better team, but I think Michigan can't win that game. I think they've proven to me and to everyone out there that they can win these tough games. I think they've proven that they're not to be taken lightly. You know, they're a good team. And at the very least, if they can make a playoff appearance, I'd be okay with that. Even if they ended up getting smoked by Georgia or whoever the hell they'd end up playing in the playoffs, I wouldn't really care. I'd be happy with a Big Ten title. I'd be happy with just an appearance in the playoffs. I'd be okay with that. That'd be 2 boxes that Harbaugh would check off. And yeah, I think at that point I would recant my statement. Now again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but it can. All they got to do is beat Maryland and then beat Ohio State. And if Ohio State beats Michigan State, Michigan just has to beat Ohio State, and then they're going to Indianapolis. Now, with that said, the question I want to leave you guys with before I move on to the next topic, do you think Michigan is going to go forward with Cade McNamara as the starter? Meaning, do you think he's going to play the whole game? They're going to go with him and not do this whole quarterback carousel thing? Do you think this game was solid evidence that they're gonna start doing that, or do you think they're gonna go right back to the quarterback carousel? Whatever your thoughts are, throw them in the comment section below. All right, guys. We're going to move on to the next topic. So, I want to talk about Michigan State. Now, I'm not a Michigan State fan. Normally, I wouldn't insert them into this podcast unless, it involved Michigan. But I want to talk about Kenneth Walker III. He's getting a lot of Heisman hype. And I'd be lying if I said it isn't deserved. As of right now, here are his numbers. On 227 attempts, he's got 1,473 rushing yards. So he's 227 for 1,473, just to reiterate that. I know I made a mistake there. He's got 17 rushing touchdowns. Also has a receiving touchdown, so in total, he is 18. He's averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Now, this is just as of right now. This is 10 games into the season. You know whose stats his are strikingly similar to? Mark Ingram's from 2009. When he won the Heisman Trophy. Now, I'm going to read off Mark Ingram's stats the year he won the Heisman. In 14 games. Now, this is a little unfair because I know the Heisman's decided before the bowl games, so I guess some of these numbers are, I don't know, like how you would differentiate those, but anyway, in 14 games, Ingram had 1,658 rushing yards on 271 attempts. He had 17 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving touchdowns. So, just as many rushing touchdowns as Kenneth Walker, and he had 3 more. He had 2 more receiving touchdowns. He had 3. Kenneth Walker only has 1. So in total, Ingram had 20. He averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Guys, these numbers are strikingly similar. And I'd be willing to bet through 10 games, Mark Ingram's numbers, I don't know. I don't know how they would have looked. Probably not as good as Kenneth Walker's, tell you the truth. I'd be willing to bet that Kenneth Walker, as of right now, probably has better numbers than Mark Ingram. Now, I don't know that for sure, so don't blast me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think the Heisman hype for Kenneth Walker III is real, and I think it's deserved. I think Kenneth Walker is a fantastic running back. I think Mel Tucker knocked it out of the park with that one. He got Kenneth Walker through the transfer portal out of Wake Forest, in case you guys didn't know. Um, yeah, I think the kid is special. Um, and screw it. You know what? Whenever he comes into the draft, I'd love for the New England Patriots to take him. Just saying, would love a hard runner like that on the Pats. So, uh, quickly before I move on, the question I'm going to leave you guys with on this part: do you think Kenneth Walker III will be a Heisman finalist? And if so, do you think he'll actually win it? Or do you think it'll be Bryce Young? Because Bryce Young seems to be the odds-on favorite, but I don't know, guys. Me personally, I think Kenneth Walker has a legitimate shot, and yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Michigan State actually has a Heisman winner. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that for sure. But yeah, I'm going to ask the question one more time. Do you think Kenneth Walker will be a Heisman finalist? And if so, do you think he'll win it? Whatever your answer is, throw it in the comment section below. And with that, we're going to move on. So the New England Patriots absolutely demolished the Cleveland Browns 45-7. The game was it was such an ass kicking. It was actually on where I live in Michigan, and they actually turned it off in I think the middle of the third quarter, because New England was just pounding the Browns so bad. So I had to actually open the game up on my phone, and even I stopped watching after a while. I'm not gonna lie. After they took Mac Jones out of the game, I actually stopped watching. But yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my dog is barking in the background. She is very loud. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I got my little notes here. My dog's barking. I'm trying to get situated here. Here we go. Mac Jones had another great game. He went 19 for 23, 198 yards. He had 198 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a completion percentage of 82.6%. As I mentioned already, he was pulled late in the third quarter for Brian Hoyer, who also threw a touchdown. I didn't actually see it. By this point, I turned the game off, and I'm actually bummed that I did, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Randry Stevenson broke out in this game. He had 100 yards on 20 carries and 2 touchdowns. He also had 4 catches for 14 yards. So he's definitely making his presence known in this running back core. And my only hope is he can stay healthy from this point until the end of the season, because James White's out for the year. Damian Harris has been on and off with injuries. Randry Stevenson, I believe, has also been a healthy scratch a couple times this season. So it's just one of those things. Our running back core has just not had the best luck. Although we have seen more of Brandon Bolden, and the eye test would say he's done pretty well, at least from my perspective. I don't know. I haven't looked at Brandon Bolden's numbers, so I guess I can't say for sure. Jacoby Myers. And this is why when I mentioned I'm a little bummed that I missed Brian Hoyer's touchdown, because it was Jacoby Myers' first career touchdown. It came late in the fourth quarter. He had 4 catches with 4 catches for 49 yards to go along with the touchdown. I honestly didn't know it was his first touchdown. That kind of bummed me out. I won't lie. I didn't know our pass offense was that bad last year, because I remember Jacoby Myers actually having a few pretty decent games last year. He's quickly becoming like a fill-in for like Edelman, a guy that's kind of picking up the place that Edelman left. I think Jacoby Myers is fitting in quite well, and I'm happy to see that he got his first career touchdown. That's really awesome. Here's to many more, man. Kendrick Bourne also had a great game. 4 catches, 98 yards. He also had a touchdown. Hunter Henry had himself a hell of a game. 4 catches, 37 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, Mac Jones targeted Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, and Hunter Henry 4 times, and each of them had 4 catches. And they all each had touchdowns, and in Hunter Henry's case, he had 2. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Am I the only one that has trouble with that? Maybe. I don't know. So, Mac Jones is working out, I think, way better than any of us could have expected. I don't know. I guess I can't speak for everybody. I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this. I think I've said this before. I was not that big on Mac Jones originally. I was more of a Justin Fields guy. I thought the talent level was there. Now, I did think that Justin Fields had a higher bust potential than Mac Jones. I always thought that Mac Jones was like the quote unquote safest pick in the draft as far as quarterbacks go, because I always thought he was probably the most NFL ready. And I don't know, I guess a part of me always thought that the Niners would take him, or maybe the Broncos would, but I'm glad the Pats took him. He's working out really good. Better than I could have thought. I think better than anyone could have thought. So, the question I want to ask you guys is this. Is it fair to say that Mac Jones has a fair shot at winning NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year? AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to come down between him and Jamar Chase. We'll see. It's tough. I think it really could go either way. I'm probably showing my bias a little bit here, but I think Mac Jones would be the one I would pick between the two of them. But yeah, we'll see. But I think that's a fair assumption. I think Mac Jones will be at the very least a finalist. I think it's fair to say he'll win. I do. I think he's going to win it at the end of the year. I think he's playing better than... I don't think there's any question. He's playing better than any other rookie quarterback. And like I said, the only other guy I could see challenging, unless I'm just... a name is passing my head right now, which is possible. Jamar Chase is the only other guy I could see challenging Mac Jones for that award. But anyway, I'm going to ask you guys the question again. Is it fair to say that Mac Jones has a shot at winning AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year? Alright, we're going to cool things down a bit. We're going to start talking about hockey. Yep, we're going to jump from football to hockey, my favorite. Well, actually, first things first, I'm going to take a drink. Alright, guys, before we move on to the next topic, I just want to say I just watched the new trailer for the new Spider-Man MCU film, Spider-Man No Way Home. Movie looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. Don't got a whole lot more to say about the trailer other than that. Go check it out. Not going to say anything else. Just go check it out. So I want to talk about the Red Wings. The Detroit Red Wings continued their streak of dominance, winning 3 out of 4 in a homestand that they had, beating Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Montreal Canadiens. They unfortunately dropped one to Washington, but you win some, you lose some. They continue to show a lot of toughness that I haven't seen in them in years. When I was, it wasn't all that long ago, when guys like Zetterberg and Datsuk were still playing, and they had Tatar and Nyquist and Eriksson and, oh God, who else? Drew Miller. It just kind of seemed like they would let themselves get pushed around, and they weren't really showing much grit or any kind of toughness. This Detroit team is not only winning games that a couple of years ago I never would have thought they would win, but they're showing more grittiness, more toughness, and it's good. It's good to see. Like I said, they won 3 out of 4 in that homestand that I want to kind of focus on. Dylan Larkin picked up his 300th career point, specifically against Montreal, with the game-winning goal in overtime. It's like the best way to get your 300th career point. It really does seem like the team plays a lot better when Dylan Larkin plays, so he really does continue to show why he got the C on his sweater. Yeah, you'll love to see it. So the Red Wings started off a 4-game road stand, and they started yesterday from the time I'm recording this, and actually at the moment they're playing the Dallas Stars and they're down 2-0, so let's hope that changes. But last night they lost to Columbus in a very back and forth game. The score was 5-3. And at first, Detroit led 2-0. They ended the first period up 2-0. Columbus tied it in the second. They go to the third. It's tied 2-2. Detroit took the lead back. The goal was called back. Then they took the lead again. They go up 3-2. Then they lose the lead. Columbus gets it back, I should say. Columbus then goes on to take a 4-3 lead. And they netted an empty netter to make it 5-3, little cherry on top of the sundae kind of thing. So, yeah, like I said, a very back and forth game. Certainly a winnable game that Detroit just kind of let slip through their fingers. So, let's hope they don't do that again. And like I said, as of right now, they're down 2-0. So, let's hope they can turn that one around. But, yeah, I think overall, at least to this point in the season, the Red Wings have done pretty well. If they honestly look like a playoff team. Now that might sound crazy, but I know it's early in the season. We don't even know what's gonna happen. To be honest, guys, I expect them to be sellers at the deadline. So, they could probably end up trying to move Thomas Greiss at the deadline or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, to this point, I think the Red Wings have passed a lot of our expectations. Lucas Raymond, Mo Sider still lead rookies in points. It's a wonderful thing to see. This Red Wings team is just coming together quite nicely. And yeah, Steve Yzerman as GM is coming just as awesome as advertised. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is going to be about the Detroit Tigers. One being about a move that they did that's pretty good. Got nothing bad to say about this. And another thing about a rumor that I guess we can pretty much say has been debunked at this point, or at least nothing's been made official, so it is just a rumor as of now. So, I guess it hasn't been debunked, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first thing, Tigers signed starting left-handed pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez to a 5-year, $77 million deal with an opt-out clause after 2 seasons. Now, I want to give a little shout out to my buddy Jacob Schneider for sharing this news with me. Thank you, Jacob. That was awesome. And thanks for the article on this. It was very helpful. So as I mentioned, an opt-out after 2 years. I don't have his numbers on me at the moment. Everything I hear is that his ERA is a little high. I think last time I saw it was like over a 4. Maybe it was like over, like just under a 4. I'm not sure. The Tigers needed a veteran pitcher to kind of help the rookies out a little bit. Well, not the rookies, but the younger kids out a little bit. And I think this is a pretty good signing. An opt-out after 2 years. Yeah, this honestly, like I said, nothing bad to say about this. So, now I want to talk about the rumor that's apparently following the Tigers. Now, Carlos Correa is a free agent shortstop, who is on, said to be probably one of the priciest free agents on the market, if not the priciest. And the Tigers are actually in need of a shortstop. Now, the rumor is that Carlos Correa to the Tigers is a done deal. Now, I feel like this has been something that has been hinted at forever because the Tigers manager, A.J. Hinch, used to manage Correa when he was with the Astros. So, a lot of people probably linked the two of them through that. Correa is, as I said to be the most prized free agent on the market. So he's not going to come cheap. If this is true, that the Tigers do have a deal with him and it's on the table, it's all good to go. If this is true, it's more than likely a contract similar to Miguel Cabrera. Something like 10 years at 300 plus mil. 300 million plus. I don't know why I said 300 plus mil. 300 million plus, over a 10-year period. So, for argument's sake, let's say this is the case. Tigers, they do have Correa. They inked him to a 10-year contract somewhere along the lines of 10 years, 320 mil, something like that. I think I'd be okay with it. The Tigers are in a position where they can spend some money, and I think they need to give a guy like A.J. Hinch as much talent as possible if they want to hold on to him. AJ Hinch is a hell of a manager. This is a guy that took a roster like the Detroit Tigers and somehow won 77 games with it. He's a pretty damn good manager. You need to give him talent. That's just how this is. And look, Cabrera's contract is up in 2 years. I know it's a bit of a risky move, but I don't know. I think it's worth it. Correa would give the Tigers a reliable glove in the infield. Not only that, he'd also give them a great bat at the plate or in the lineup, however you want to put it. He had this past season alone, he had 155 hits, an average of 279, 34 doubles, 1 triple, 26 home runs, 92 RBIs, and he drew 75 base on balls. This is a guy that knows how to get on base. He's very good to have in your lineup. He's a decent bat. I would say go out and spend the money. Take a risk. Make the moves that you got to make. You can spend the money. It's, like I said, Tigers are in a position where they can do it, and I think they should take a risk. Like I said, it's gutsy, and a lot of you may disagree, and that's fine. If you do, suggest some alternatives in the comments below. I know there's like 4 other shortstops that are also on the market. If you guys think one of those guys would be a better fit, by all means, tell me why. But I'm not even necessarily saying I want them to do it. Although actually I would say I do want them to kind of do it. I think Correa would, if they were to actually do it, like I said, the only risk would be is they would have to pay Correa a lot of money over a long period of time. So they'd be committed to him for a long time. The contract would be very risky, but I think the Tigers can make it work. And it's like I said, you need to give a guy like AJ Hinch more talent. I think if he can take a team like what the Tigers were trotting out this past season and win 77 games with them, imagine what he could do with talent. I think he could make something happen here, and I think it's worth the risk. But you guys have heard my opinion. I want to know what you think. So go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you think the Tigers should do as far as the situation at shortstop. And also tell me a little bit more about the Eduardo Rodriguez signing. Like, what do you guys like about it? Like I said, to me, there really isn't anything to dislike, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I don't see something that one of you guys do. By all means, whatever you guys want to talk about any of these subjects, go ahead and throw it in the comment section below. You guys know I love talking to you guys about this stuff. It's a lot of fun for me. So, yeah. I'll go ahead and roll over the questions again. So for Michigan going forward, the question was, do you think they go with Cade McNamara all the way going forward, no more quarterback carousel, or do you think they go back to the carousel? Kenneth Walker, do you think the Heisman hype is real? Do you think he's going to be a finalist? And if so, do you think he'll win? Mac Jones, do you think he'll be the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year? The Detroit Red Wings, do you think it's a little too early to say that they look like a team that could sneak into the playoffs on a wild card? And Tigers, like I said, tell me what you think about the Eduardo Rodriguez signing. And who do you want them to sign at shortstop? Alrighty, guys. Well, this has been CuJo's Corner. Again, this is the 11th installment. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more of this podcast. But until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is CuJo Productions, signing out.